If social media was around in your childhood, what embarrassing moment would you be famous for? In 5th grade I was in a school musical production where in one song I was the Boogie Woogie reindeer, and during the song I was supposed to dance. Well, my mum had just showed me the movie Coyote Ugly, so I thought the best course of action was to dance like the girls in that movie. I'm sure there's still a home video out there of the 5th grade boy dancing like a stripper. What can you do? It's not like you can fight the moonlight. Pooping on the floor between arcade games at age 7 so I wouldn't lose my place in line to play Gauntlet. I lost my place in line. I wonder why. Poop wasn't big enough. Oh man. I used to work at an arcade and I was the guy with the tape measure that had go out and see if some kid's floor chute was big enough to allow him to stay in line. Hated that job so much. We had to measure by volume and viscosity. It was smell radius for us. Was in choir and had an upset stomach, so was laying down while everyone else was practicing. Adults thought I was faking it so made me get up and sing with everyone. A few minutes later I puked all over another kid. They let me go home after that. Oh god, I'm sorry, mine was similar. Mum thought I was faking and still took me to the lame nature walk when I said my stomach really hurt. Kids club were on a trip there and all stopped to watch me throw up everywhere repeatedly for a while. It was so embarrassing. My mum did that to me when we were on a family vacation when I was like 17. I got food poisoning from some bad sushi and she insisted we drive out to the hiking trail she had planned. I whimpered every time the car hit a bump or took a curve too fast and then bolted for the bathroom at the little park ranger building the second she parked the car. I did manage not to puke. Shoot until I got to the toilet, so that's something I guess. Trying to impress my crush by showing him how high I could kick. I slipped and broke my wrist. Not before landing directly into your crush's arms, am I right? Frick, I wish. He definitely just watched me go down though. Sadly not in the way you were hoping you'd go down. Oh, that's brilliant. Wish I could give you gold. I will try to give him my only award, smiley face. I only have to find out how to give awards, lol. I was at the airport. Hadn't seen my dad since I got back. Saw a guy with a blazer like my dad's. Jumped onto this random stranger's back as he's looking for his luggage. He must have been so confused. At least you didn't get on the wrong plane and end up in NY. Then try to brutally murder 2 grown men. Extreme camel toe doing a Barbie girl number at the talent show. First time Barbie ever had something between the legs. Certified not Barbie. For some reason. For a brief period I was into kilts. I was also not into wearing underwear under those kilts. So here I am, 5 or 6 years old, crawling around the bleachers at my uncle's softball game. Kilt and no undies. You were a proper Scotsman. I shoot myself as a 6-year-old girl at the mall. I farted in the shoe store, and my sister thought it was absolutely hilarious. Again. She exclaimed as I forced a follow-up fart out. In complete hysterics now. Again. She cackled. Another fart. She was laughing so hard she was nearly in tears. Again. Although I no longer had any gas, I pushed as hard as I could, determined to make my sister laugh even harder. Then, a moment too late, I noticed I was shooting myself. I can only imagine my sister would have been filming on her iPhone, had they been available in the 90s. Your sister sounds so interesting. AGAIN. Oh, I've got a good one. I was 7 years old and my parents were hosting a family and friends gathering at home. I mostly stayed out of the way and played video games in the living room, and adults would ask me what I was playing and whatever. It was nice. A few hours into the party I wanted some soda. I go to the fridge and see one of those little ice-breaking hammers and proceed to stick my tongue to it like the cartoons did to have a laugh. I pulled it off immediately and there was blood everywhere. I ran out crying with my bloody tongue out, to the absolute horror of every single adult. Now, you'd think this would be the viral moment, but no. A family friend that was a doctor was there and he came over to me, saw my tongue and told me it's fine. I just need you to spit out some blood so I can get a better look. I proceeded to spit my mouth full of blood just straight to his face. Every single person that saw it lost their shit laughing. Even the doctor. Did you lost your taste on foods, or it was completely fine? Oh, I was absolutely fine. Tongue healed in a couple of days and all I got to eat was cold food. Tongues heal at an incredible rate. My little brother fell and bit 1/3 of his tongue nearly clean off. They stitched it together, and it was completely refused in days. It's incredible. My mother has a saying that literally all mouth injuries can be healed in a week. It's shoot like this that makes me wanna believe her. As someone who had 3 grafts in my mouth, this is not true for the more major things. 6-8 weeks per graft of no straws, no solid food, nothing that flakes, crunches or shards. More minor things though, yay. A week is pretty much fine for most oral injuries. Tongue biting is actually mid-level, not minor, but not surgery needed. Not embarrassing, but I ruined a magic show once. The magician said he needed a good kid to help him. I declared myself a good kid and walked on stage. I then proceeded to ruin the trick by pointing out the ball he made disappear was behind a table. He then sent me away. Something similar happened to me. I didn't ruin the trick, but magic was ruined for me when the magician asked me to help him on stage and secretly shoved the supposedly teleporting object in my hand. I was baffled and just went along with it, but my disappointment was immeasurable. I, 14 at the time, was at my sister's hockey banquet. 300 girls, babes, in attendance. As the speaker approached the podium, don't cherry for you hockey fans, I was leaning back on my chair. Indeed, I leaned too far. I began to fall back on the chair and grabbed the tablecloth to hang on to. I ended up pulling the entire KFC food party banquet food onto my head and lap, gravy included. My elbows also hit the piano keys behind me, making a massive B-flat note throughout the gymnasium. When Mr. Cherry got to the microphone he said thank you maestro. I died a little that day. When Mr. Cherry got to the microphone he said thank you maestro. I'm sorry you went through this, but that is freaking hilarious, LOL. That was the part that made me laugh out loud. I'm picturing the chicken bucket landing on your head for the hat trick. I'm dying laughing inside reading this. See, we're both a little dead now. Moved houses and my brother's room was where the old bathroom was sleepwalked in, and peed right in his face, asserting dominance. Imagine being the mum and hearing your kid scream in the middle of the night ew. Sibling just peed all over me, like what do you do as a parent in that situation? Stifle your laughter. I had a stomach bug once in middle school and the freaking nurse didn't believe me. I may have cried wolf before. I suffered through school all day until finally my last period. We were taking a test and I asked my teacher if I could go to the bathroom, and before I could finish speaking I projectile vomited over her shoulder and mostly into the trash can. The jock in the class was like, whoa, your throw up looks like Sprite, and even in my stupor I was like, what the frick? My teacher made the horse girl walk me to the nurse with the soiled trash bin, and horse girl was actually super cool about it. Told me not to be embarrassed and took my mind off it by talking about horses. Classic horse girl. Always there when you need her. Putting toilet paper in my butt like a horsetail, and running around the house naked with cups as hooves. I'm sure there is a picture, but I have no access to that. It's okay. The picture in my head made up for the one unaccounted for. How do I delete a picture in someone else's head? With a knife and a steady hand. My friend and I thought it would be fun to recreate Jackass and title it Jackbot. We were like 11-12. Instead of doing anything actually dangerous, we would take the truck's wheels off our skateboard and do stupid tricks on a trampoline and then make a hand signal and yell Jackbot at the camera. I am glad the recording on VHS was lost to the world. I hope it turns up at a garage sale sometime and makes its way to its proper place online. Jackbot. Was in a shopping mall when I heard someone say my name. At least it sounded like my name. I looked up from my phone to see this pretty girl walking towards me with outstretched arms and a smile. She looked so familiar, like someone I knew from my high school, so of course my dumb, nearsighted self, who didn't want to second guess his good fortune, opened his arms wide to receive and reciprocate the hug. She sidestepped around me neatly like a ballerina ninja and delivered the hug to its rightful owner, who was right behind me in my blind spot, leaving me fumbling to play off the most embarrassing moment of my life. I still cringe when I think about this. A more wholesome similar story. My best friend was walking across the crosswalk to me with her arms out, and a guy in front of me looked around at the other people, then slowly turned and opened his arms. She realized what was going on and decided to hug him back, and he asked if she knew him. She motioned towards me and told him that she didn't want him to feel embarrassed, so she hugged him anyway. They've been dating for 2 years. Not a moment, but years, with a perm. You're lucky that perms, despite their name, aren't permanent. In all 21 years of my life I've never considered that perm is short for permanent. Frick. When I was around 4 years old, I would get cheeky often and do things I wasn't allowed to do. When my parents asked me if I did something, I would lie, but it would be very obvious. When they confronted me about it, I asked how they knew. My mother said that a big, red circle would appear on my forehead whenever I lied. Afterwards my parents asked me again if I did said thing. Me, thinking I was an absolute genius, would facepalm my forehead and deny everything. At only 4 years old, this would have been famous cause it would have been adorable. At least not mortifyingly embarrassing.